What if the next pivotal move to reshape the landscape of the NBA falls not to a flashy superstar or buzzer-beater hero, but to a quiet, almost overlooked giant? What if the fate of a championship chase hinges on a player whose name barely ripples the chatter, even as he holds the tools to silently shift the balance of power? Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, where raw truth meets purple and gold passion. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a second of this drama. Now, let me pull you into a story that might just be the most underrated subplot of this NBA all-season saga wrapped around a 26-year-old center whose journey has been as perplexing as it has been promising. Deandre Ayton. You heard the whispers, maybe caught some flashes from Phoenix's playoff runs or Portland's turbulent rebuild. But have you truly grasped what this man brings to the table and what he might still become for the right team desperate to move the needle? Picture this, a player who once saw 36 minutes a night on a finals team, fiercely competing under the brightest lights, then followed that by averaging a dominant 46 and 12 the next season. Numbers you'd expect to command headlines. Yet in a bizarre twist, Ayton's recent contract buyout slipped quietly into free agency, barely sparking the frenzy you'd imagine. The collective basketball world seems oddly indifferent, if not downright skeptical. Why? Because Ayton's game, at least on the surface, defies expectations for a classic center. There's no brute force, no stamping his authority with relentless physicality. His frame sits high, elongated, with a center of gravity that's deceptive. And instead of crashing the rim with full throttle or bullying defenders off their spots, he courts finesse, hook shots, turnaround jumpers, floaters, most of them, over light contests rather than through battering the defense head-on. That reluctance to assert physical dominance leaves many fans with a bitter taste, grumbling, "Where's the toughness? The grit?" He's not out there sealing blocks or dumping somebody into the stands on a thunderous dunk. Instead, he's hunting efficient, sometimes subtle scoring opportunities, and hardly ever gets to the free throw line, that hallmark of aggression that many equate with a true presence in the paint. Over 2 years, he averaged barely 1.5 free throws per game, topping out at 3 only once. Lack of motor? That's the phrase often thrown around, particularly on a Portland team that barely pretended to be contenders. Ayton's efforts sometimes looked like it flickered on and off. But what if that label oversimplifies what he really is? To me, it's clear. Ayton is a maestro of touch and timing, a giant who plays eloquently rather than explosively. Since 2021, he's taken roughly 600 hook shots and nailed over 58%. Mark rivaling some of the best in the league, like Jokic and Zubac, who sits slightly higher but in the same elite neighborhood. His short mid-range jumper is another weapon, over 1,400 attempts in 5 years with 51% success. And if he can't get those closer looks, no problem, he steps back to a long mid-range, hitting at 47% on 500 attempts. This isn't just a big man, it's a 7-footer with multiple scoring levels who spaces the floor in the most unconventional, efficient way possible. Think about how dangerous that makes him. When a guard drives, it's Ayton's man rotating to contest, but he's ready a quick outlet with that mid-range touch, capable of punishing defenses sagging off him or trying to drop on a pick and roll. And speaking of pick and rolls, another underrated part of his game is the short roll. When he secures the ball with space, he can put pressure downhill, armed not just with strength, but with the quick decision-making to break down help defenders. Defenses can't just dare him to catch in space and expect an easy trap. No, they fall back into more traditional coverages. And this is where his athleticism really shines, a remarkable blend of mobility and vertical explosiveness for a man his size, with a wingspan of 7 feet 6 inches. Watching him roll, you see him glide past defenders and soar above the rim with a leaping ability rare for such a giant. Since 2021, out of the 87 players with at least 1,000 rim attempts, Ayton ranks third in accuracy, making 76% of those finishing attempts. That means when you lob it to him, You're putting the ball in the basket at an elite rate, a vast radius on the court that any high-level playmaker would drool over. Now add to this his role as one of the NBA's premier offensive rebounders. Last season was his best in offensive boards in 4 years, almost 4 per 75 possessions, extending possessions, gifting second chances, and turning those into easy points. This is no small thing. In basketball, second chances can break momentum, crush morale, spark runs. And having a big who not only grabs these, but can finish plays adds a layer of scariness to any offense. Put it all together, his scoring touch, deft pick and roll scoring, offensive rebounding, and what do we get? One of the very best off-ball big men in the entire league. But there's a catch. Ayton's ceiling depends heavily on who he shares the floor with. Due to his lack of forcefulness and limited playmaking, he needs to have an elite creator setting him up, someone who can consistently cook defenses on their own, because Ayton isn't a screener who can bury defenders. He rarely sets a hard screen, something that truly frees up ball handlers. This reality has colored his recent dips in scoring efficiency, particularly in Portland ever since Chris Paul's decline. For a player like Ayton, you need a very special type of teammate, someone comfortable creating advantages without leaning on big screens. Imagine, just for a moment, if Cade Cunningham had that mid-range outlet of a finisher to lean on as he sliced to the basket. Or for Lakers fans, picture Luka Doncic with a partner on the floor who spaces vertically and has this sort of lethal touch near the rim. It's tantalizing. Heck, even teams like Milwaukee, Atlanta, Orlando, Indiana, or New Orleans could dramatically upgrade their frontcourt with a player like Ayton, one who offers skill beyond size. Offensively, yes, he has limitations, but his skills fit broadly across the league's needs. A dynamic mid-range big man who isn't a three-point shooter, yet spaces the floor in a different, nearly invisible way. What really complicates the equation is defense. We've seen glimpses of potential greatness in Phoenix's playoff pushes. When locked in, Ayton was a solid rim protector and glass-clearing machine, capable of dominating paint defense phases and providing more than just a body at the rim. But like his offense, consistency and effort have been inconsistent. Sometimes he looks like he's out there in name only. Other times, he's stifling, throwing off shots, guarding primary pick-and-roll actions with a length and athleticism that generates covers even when he's a step late. He's not your switch-off small ball big. He's not the defender you want to rely on to single-handedly carry your paint like a Rudy Gobert or Victor Wembanyama. But when focused, he's among the better post defenders out there who can be trusted on elite bigs to hold their own. The two sides of this coin, effort and consistency, are where Ayton's fate hangs. If he brings the 2021 playoff intensity, he's not an all-defensive first-teamer, but he can anchor good defensive units and make real noise. But lean on him to carry the defense, and you might find holes peeling apart at the worst moments. So, is Ayton a gamble? Absolutely. Unless a team boasts an elite ball handler who can create consistently and a solid defensive framework to support him, he's unlikely to move the needle. But for teams that fit that mold, there are few big men I'd rather trust patrolling the paint. Detroit makes the most sense. Young, dynamic lead guard, solid defensive pieces, clear ceiling. But discussions swirl about the Lakers, the Pacers, Warriors, even the Magic as landing spots ripe for his talents. Remember, he's just 26, still got plenty of room to refine the raw edges. And if you strip away the noise, forget the contract, the number one pick hype, forget all the drama, and see Ayton for what he is. A massive lob threat with silky touch inside, a rare mid-range sniper, an elite rebounder on both ends, rim protector when dialed in. That sounds like a valuable asset for a team truly hungry to make noise in the playoffs. As a lifelong Lakers fan, I can't help but feel a mixture of curiosity and cautious hope. This is not a slam dunk story, not a Hollywood hero's arc, but maybe a subtle, quiet force, ready to tip the scales in a league that prizes flashover, function, Could Ayton be the missing chess piece for the purple and gold, the unsung giant who finally steps into the spotlight? Or is this just another chapter of what could have been in a saga fraught with unmet potential? So is this the start of a new empire, or the beginning of our unraveling? Drop your take in the comments. I'll be reading everyone. Listen, Lakers Nation, wake the hell up right now. This isn't just another rumor swirling in the ether or some half-baked trade bait headline. This is a potential seismic shift that could redefine the entire geography of NBA power for years to come. I mean, think about this. LeBron James, the king himself, entering what might be his last legs of absolute dominance. Anthony Davis, the Bruin with all the physical gift but whose own body screams have been growing louder with every hard-fought minute on the hardwood. And here we are, maybe staring at Deandre Ayton as the keystone for the next championship run. Not a flashy perimeter assassin, not a high-flying showman, but a fundamentally sound, mercurial big who quietly brings precision amidst chaos. It's maddening, right? Like, how often do the Lakers count on the unexpected, gamble on the misunderstood? This franchise was built on moments where the world doubted us. When Magic Johnson's no-look passes made the air shimmer like something out of a dream. When Kobe Bryant redefined obsession with every fadeaway that left defenders awestruck. And bewildered when the 2020 bubble title was snatched out of thin air, proving resilience can defy even the most surreal adversities. But this is different. This is the slow burn, the subtle pivot in a world drowning in highlight reels and ring chasers. If we pull off bringing Ayton in, what does it say about our soul? About what kind of team we want to be in the post-LeBron era? For years, we've grappled with that question. Do we build around the flash and finesse, or do we reclaim that blue-collar grind the game was built on? Ayton's presence could be both a mirror and a magnifying glass, a reflection of our vulnerabilities and a spotlight on our possibilities. Imagine LeBron trying to do it all again without a reliable inside presence next to him. Remember those agonizing playoff runs with mismatched bigs, or when the rim protection was a weak link that crumbled at the worst moments. Now picture a Ayton, gliding down the court, snagging boards with surgical precision, providing that underrated soft touch in the paint, just when the Lakers need a bucket to silence the doubters. And you know there's a but, what if Ayton's inconsistency becomes our undoing? What if his quiet giant aura is just a prelude to another season of frustration? Because the Lakers have seen this story before. The Dwight Howard experiment felt like a beacon of hope that quickly turned sour, and DeMarcus Cousins' injury-plagued tenure was like a cruel joke. We've been burned by big men who promised the world and delivered headaches. So, is the front office ready to roll the dice again? Are the powers that be willing to relinquish control, to gamble on a player who demands the right supporting cast? That's where the Jeannie Buss era meets its ultimate test. Her stewardship has seen highs and lows, moments of brilliance punctuated by stumbles. But now the stands are whispering louder the arrival of a deep-pocketed billionaire fan, ready to shake things up, threatening to upset the delicate balance of power within the Lake Show. Could a new financial tyrant pick up the reins and drag the purple and gold into an uncharted, hyper-aggressive future? Or will Jeannie stand her ground, guarding the Lakers' legacy with all the fierce caution it demands? Picture the tension in the boardroom, dealmakers circling like sharks over Ayton's name, leverage shifting with every tick of the clock. And don't even get me started on the ripple effect this move would send across the Western Conference. The Warriors sit atop like some ironclad dynasty, but it's clear their reign is teetering. Clay's injuries, Draymond's age, and the inevitable shifts in the guard rotation paint a vulnerable picture. Here comes Ayton, potentially tipping the scales, giving the Lakers a weapon to challenge that grip to push Golden State off their throne. But then, Denver blinks, maybe doubles down with Jokic and young talent around him. Phoenix eyes Ayton's departure is both a wound and a call to arms, primed to evolve without their former anchor. The Clippers sniff blood, looking to exploit any cracks in the Lakers' armor, because when the stakes are this high, no rivalry dulls, no city softens. It's Garden of Eden chaos, the paradise of potential bleeding into pandemonium of uncertainty. And while we're jacking up the stakes, don't forget the human stories layered underneath the bright young hopes, the raw emotions that fuel this team and its fan base alike. Take Bronny James, LeBron's son, who's creeping into his own. Limelight, basking under the heavy glow of expectation and legacy. What does it mean for him to watch his father navigate this precarious twilight of his career, possibly aligned with a new enigmatic big man whose style defies easy categorization? Is this the seed of a dynasty reborn, or the puzzle piece that will shatter the empire before it can truly rise again? And Austin Reeves, the scrappy underdog carving out a niche, whose energy and heart increasingly feel like the heartbeat of this new Lakers squad. How will his role evolve when a player like Ayton, calm, quiet, methodical, joins the fray? Will Reeves' grit mesh with Ayton's finesse, propelling the Lakers beyond the familiar narrative of clutch moments and stale rotations? The identity of this team, its very essence, hangs in the balance. Every season since that 2020 bubble glory, the Lakers have felt like they were trying to chase lightning in a bottle, fragmented dreams patched by marquee talents that didn't quite fit right. Squads built on shaky foundations, always aiming for greatness, but often falling short. That's the brutal truth fans live with. The sting of the post-Kobe era, marked by turbulence and unfulfilled dreams. This potential Ayton chapter teases us with a new direction, one that embraces complexity and nuance over charisma and flash. But then again, what if it's a mirage? What if the story of this quiet giant is just the latest heartbreaking almost, a star with the skill set to break the mold, but not the consistency or fire to lead the charge? Because the Lakers are at a crossroads, and every move echoes against this franchise's story passed from the Showtime magic that dazzled the 80s to the relentless 2000s three-peat legacy engraved with pain and triumph, and the vengeful 2010 run distilling years of heartbreak in the hardware. Everything we do now reverberates in that rich tapestry, making every draft, every trade, every whispered rumor or thread in an epic saga bound to purple and gold. Now imagine if we do nail this landing, if Ayton becomes the glue that finally balances the offense around LeBron and AD, if he can anchor a defense that has too often been porous at the worst moments. Picture the energy crackling in Crypto.com. Arena with a lob hammer by Ayton jolts the crowd to a fever pitch, when the fans sense that old magic returning not from spectacle, but from a cohesive unit built on trust, skill, and relentless execution. But what if that doesn't happen? What if the same old cracks widen? What if, despite all the potential, Ayton's fit is just a faint shadow of what this team truly needs? What if our championship window slides shut just as we dare to open it? As a Laker till the day I die, here's what I see coming: chaos, yes, but also possibility. A franchise on the edge of reinvention or collapse, with Deandre Ayton cast as the wild card, the overlooked giant poised to tilt the scales toward glory or doom. No guarantees, no easy answers, just raw, electric suspense hanging thick over the Staples Center like never before. Now I want to hear it from you. Drop your rawest take below. Every true believer in purple and gold, are we about to witness the quiet ascension of a new Lakers era? Or is history poised to repeat its cruel cycle? This is our moment to roar, to dream, and to demand more, even if all we have right now is hope flickering in the shadows.